For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.
Welcome to the ET Stand Podcast, a Cronulla Sharks fans podcast. The Sharkies, we've got a lot of injuries at the moment, so we thought it would be time to invite our dear friend and supporter of the channel, Francis Crossle from Southside Physio. Sadly, Francis, we've got you in again because we've got a whole bunch of Sharky injuries. How are you, mate?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, not good to see the boys injured.
Oh, so many injuries. Even your son's injured as well, isn't he?
Yeah, Lachlan, it's unlucky, got a broken shoulder blade, so he's out for a few more weeks. Not much we can do about it. That's football. Just frustrating.
Is he on the treatment table at home and are you giving him a bit of what for or what?
No, it's just healing time really for fracture, so not much I can do hands-on.
Nothing yet.
Once another week goes by, you'll be allowed to, start doing some weights, but certainly no contact work, minimal running. It's just got to get the bone to heal.
Yeah, right, got it. It's always the same stuff with you, isn't it? All right, well, look, the Sharkies have got the Melbourne Storm coming to visit at 7:30 p.m. Saturday night at Shark Stadium. I think it might be a sellout. So we're missing a few players. So, let's just start from the top. The total list of injury players on NRL.com currently sits at Sione Katoa and Teig Wilton and Slater is returning for round 11. We've got Toby Rudolf, Thomas Hazleton, Mawene Hiroti, Kade Dykes, and Liam Ison. That's a fair amount of cattle injured. Let's start with the possible return of Teig Wilton, Francis. He's got his shoulder injury, which has been, a 2 to 4 typical game resulting injury. Talk to us about that one.
Yeah, it's certainly lacking a few details about Teig Wilton's injury. Being that 3 to 4 weeks out, more than likely it's a slip of the shoulder joint, not a dislocation of the shoulder joint or the AC joint. So that means that he will have had to have time off contact and spend a lot of time strengthening to get that stability back. So I would say probably have specific strapping or perhaps a stability brace for the first, probably for the rest of the season, and keep working on his shoulder strength. Very successful return from these sort of injuries, and that's why he's had to have the time out to give the shoulder time to become stable and heal. So,
the stability strap, how does that affect their movement overall? Like what sort of, is it 90% of how they could normally do without it, or how much is it restricted?
It restricts it in a certain movement. That's that sort of hand behind the head action. So
which is the dislocating spot.
Yeah, going down on the ball with their arm out, it gets pushed back, and that's the most common method of dislocation. So it only really restricts that by about 50%, but the overall function of play is minimally affected, absolutely minimally, and it's players are pretty comfortable wearing those sort of guards and supports.
So if they've named him to play, then what might stop them from, or they're just monitoring him and just, there's a chance he's going to play then, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. If they've named him, I'd say he's ready to go. It's just whether they think that the coach chooses him as the one to start or not, as, trying to pick the best team.
Yeah, so he played round 7, so he's missed 8, 9, 10. So that's 3. So he's a possible for this week, isn't he? You'd almost expect him to come into the team.
Yeah.
All right, got it. All right, so you'd think so. All right, well, he's been in pretty good form, Teig Wilton. But, his deputy, Billy Burns, has been looking pretty good, Francis. Yeah, the boys on the Tuesday night. He's looking pretty good, isn't he?
Yeah, very good. So
maybe I can't see Billy Burns upseating Teig Wilton, though. Can you, Francis?
No, and that's the thing. As long as Teig Wilton's, is ready to come back, you can't see it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right. So then we've got Toby Rudolf, who's got a syndesmosis injury to his left ankle, which occurred in round 7, and he's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. These syndesmosis injuries, I swear we've talked to you about that like 3 or 4 times, Francis. Why does this keep happening to the rugby league players?
We've talked about it a few times with various players. It's the high ankle sprain or syndesmosis sprain, so the shin bones want to separate, and it's the nature of the game. Then the foot gets pointed and twisted, and the player puts weight through it. The ball of the joint wants to shift upwards and separates the bones. So it's just a risk factor, same as shoulder dislocations and ACL injuries. It's really the design of the body doesn't take the strain of the sport. It's so strong and fast.
So given that Toby's had his other injuries, is he more likely to get a syndesmosis injury, or is it unrelated?
Yeah, there's two answers.
That's a tough question, isn't it?
The short answer is yes. The predictor of having an injury, the highest predictor is having a previous injury. However, in a professional level, the recovery and rehabilitation and prevention strategies are high. So you'd like to think it's not necessarily so.
Got it. So if he's 3 or 4 weeks post that, is he back into training yet?
I would say maybe another week. Yeah, maybe he'd be doing very low loading, so cycling, elliptical cycle, pull work, but not much in the way of loading his body weight through his foot yet. That needs to be that sort of 5 week mark, 5 to 6 week mark. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Once he's ready, once that's ready. Sorry, Dave.
Yep.
Then if the injury's settled enough to take the weight bearing, then he can accelerate. But if you go too early, it'll just set him back.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So they've got to be super careful with not going too early on Toby Rudolf then.
Yeah. Try and accelerate the rehabilitation, but if you try and take shortcuts and not follow the healing of the process of healing, and when tissues are ready to be loaded, whether it's ligaments, muscles, tendons, or bones, you can really become undone. And the typical one of that is, hamstring injuries. People feel great, and instead of being out for 4 weeks, they come out 3 weeks and do it again, and they're out for 8 weeks because they've worsened the injury. So that's an example there.
Got it. Okay, so then we've got Tom Hazleton with a sternum injury. Now, pre-show or pre-record, you were saying you thought this was a higher up a shoulder, or what were you saying up here? What's that one called again?
On the corner of your shoulder, the little bump on your shoulder, that's the anatomical name is your acromion, and your collarbone comes from your sternum out to your acromion. So that's the C for clavicle and A for acromion. So that's the acromioclavicular joint, or the AC joint, they call it for short.
Yep, got it.
The collarbone is the clavicle, comes and meets the sternum, which is your breastbone, and the collarbone just acts like a strut, and your shoulder hangs off it. So if you watch the footy game, you saw Big Tom unfortunately land on his elbow with all his weight and then a player on top, and it jarred up his arm into his shoulder. And the commentators and myself, when I watched it, thought it was more an AC joint injury. But it appears that he's taken a blow to his sternum as well, his breastbone. So they haven't reported as broken or fractured, which is 2 words for the same thing. There's no difference. So it's more likely to be, bruising to the sternum, bony bruising. Takes 6 to 8 weeks to recover, and it's a very painful injury. You've got the ribs joining.
Oh, that's worse than I was expecting. That's why they haven't listed it as a number of weeks, Francis, because they're.
Yeah. It can be less. It just depends on the severity, and often when you return, you'll have quite a large sternum pad strapped on for protection from pressure and blows, and occasionally there'll be a local anaesthetic to relieve pain. That's not as common as it was in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s to have the injection.
Right.
Yeah,
so is he
a little bit to be seen how he recovers, I guess, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and that'll make a big difference.
Got it. So he's off no contact and not training and resting and all of those sort of things then.
Exactly. It'd be definitely no contact. 7 to 10 days, I'd imagine he'll be starting back doing the weight training that he can and the cardio that he can. But as I said, in the acute stage, the first 7 to 10 days, even taking a deep breath can be quite painful. So he's got a bit to improve on yet from last week's game.
Yeah, got it. All right. Kade Dykes, ruptured patella tendon in his left knee. Goodness me,
Yeah.
that's just heartbreaking for Kade Dykes, isn't it?
Oh, it's shocking news. I'd heard that heard I think he'd had 1 or 2 games back in the New South Wales Cup with the Jets and was going fantastic. And then heard the news that the patella tendon is the tendon comes from your kneecap down to your shin bone. So that's been snapped. So it needs to be repaired surgically, and he'll spend 6 weeks in a splint, straight with a straight leg, not bending the leg, and crutches for 2 or 3 weeks, then no crutches. Then he's got to come out of that splint and spend the next 6 or 12 weeks getting his bend back and his leg strength back. So it's a big, very similar time frame as a ACL reconstruction recovery. So, he's out for the season, unfortunately. Which is,
got it. Now, so I asked that same question. Well, he's such a nice guy, Kade Dykes. I did the trivia with him down at Sharks at Cronulla.
Oh, yeah.
We did so we did this thing where if your team was coming last, you got one of the players to sit with you and go through the trivia. And Kade Dykes, you could just see the competitive nature in it. Once he was assigned to a team, and they were asking questions, Kade Dykes, he was not mucking around. He's like, no, we got to get all the questions right. He's trying to work out the stuff, and he's running around. He played trivia the exact same way, actually, as he is on the football field, just trying to make it happen. And so he was just a balanced personality in a situation with a bunch of fans, and charming and lovely, and just really nice guy. So it's just a bummer, really. And then there's a funny story with him too, Francis, where someone went and commented on a social post, something like, hang it up or something like that. And I don't know if you saw this, but he replied directly to it and said, "Oh, thanks, champ. Thanks for the support," or something like this. Just he basically was trolling someone who was trolling him. It was terrifically funny response, and good on you, Kade Dykes. We certainly do wish you. Oh goodness, Adam Dykes was, as we know, I'd always talk about him being my favourite Sharks player. So love to see Kade Dykes out there in the 6 for the Sharkies, I can tell you. So, should we be worried about his long run of injuries, Francis?
No, I think like his ACL injuries. I mean, he's not. I think there's numerous players. I just can't name at the moment, but there's numerous players back playing first grade that have been unlucky and had 2 ACL injuries and fractured ankles and different things. Again, that's extremely bad luck for this type of injury. To my knowledge, I can't say it'd be a deficiency in preparation and not being fit enough. It's a bit like when an Achilles tendon ruptures. People can be absolutely fit as a fiddle, firing on all cylinders, and then the body just fails. The force exceeds the ability of the tendon to take the load, and something's got to give, and occasionally it ruptures and splits.
Yeah, got it. All right, and then Mawene Hiroti, who'd been performing really well in the absence of KL Hero, limped from the field in the clash at Leichhardt Oval. He had a high-grade MCL strain. So talk to me about, what does that mean when they say high grade?
Well, the injury grades go in grade 1 low, grade 3 is the worst. So grade 2 and 3 are referred to as high grade injuries. And grade 1 injuries you can return usually between 2 and 4 weeks, and a grade 2 injury between sort of 4 and 6 weeks, maybe 7, and a grade 3 injury you're looking at sort of 8 to 12 weeks or longer. So high injury usually means you have an MCL, which is a medial collateral ligament on the inside of your knee. A high grade injury is really looking at sort of 6 to 8 weeks to get back. It's quite a while. The low grade injuries, the grade 1, you can get back in a few weeks, similar to Tommy Trbojevic in Manly. Came back, he had his knee very heavily strapped, and he looked a bit proppy on it, to be honest, but he got through the game. So that's as much as I can tell
he's
you.
Out for 8. He's out for 8 weeks or so.
Well, not really knowing the full details. We're talking ballpark figures, but possibly 6 to 8. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then lastly, we have Liam Ison, who ruptured his ACL, which is also a nasty injury, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe he did that in round 1 or 2, and sort of done the.
Yeah, it was early March.
Of, pre-season sacrifices and hard training, and unfortunately got a season-ending injury, 8 weeks or so, 9 weeks ago. So he would have had his surgery within the following week, and he'll be back running in the gym. Certainly no contact or pivoting, but he'll be back, training hard, and there'll be no chance of him. Well, there'd be a very slim chance of him returning at all this year, probably 0, but you never know with these athletes. And they'll be shooting for him to play, get back into full training in the pre-season next year. At the end of this year. That's next season, yeah.
So that's 7 injuries for the Sharkies.
Yeah.
It's a lot, Francis, isn't it, at this stage of the season?
Yeah, 2 season-ending ones. That's very frustrating with Kade Dykes and Liam. Is it a lot? Probably years ago I would have said yes, but these days the game's so hard and fast and tough. I think if you look at clubs like Easts and Souths, and even the Bulldogs have had a fair share of injuries. Probably not 7, but some of their key players have been out. So I guess my gut feeling is it's probably a little bit more than usual, but not highly unusual.
Well, we also didn't mention Sione Katoa either, did we?
No, that's right. I think he's. I think he has a concussion or recovering from a concussion.
No, Talakai's got the concussion. Katoa's got the shoulder reconstruction, didn't he?
Yeah, mixing him up. Sorry, yeah. Oh, we've forgotten about him altogether. Well,
they don't even seem to have Katoa on the site. Actually, is why he didn't. He just forgotten Katoa. Yeah, he had a reconstruction surgery. Yeah, goodness me. So that's 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, so he's possibly back in the tail end of the season.
Yeah, round 16 or something they were citing him at as well. So I guess you've been in and around these football teams. Once you start getting a few injuries, though, can it mount up because then you've got your other guys playing at the same time when perhaps they're pushing a player or two to play that perhaps shouldn't, or am I just making that
up? No, those days are gone. The catchphrase, the duty of care to not put players at risk by putting them back when they're not ready, is very strong. And there used to be a bit of a stigma about being out injured and not playing in maybe the 90s when I was in early 2000s, but I think that's pretty much gone now. People are more educated and understand that you're going to put yourself at more risk if you come back when you're not ready, and perhaps end up with more serious injuries or be out of the playing season longer. So no, I don't think that's the case. What it does do is, as we know, it leads to opportunities for players who are banging to get a chance. And so for the ones that come up from New South Wales Cup, have their chance to make debuts or be on the bench, and it's a big opportunity for them. But unfortunately, sometimes you get your opportunity through another player's misfortune. Yeah.
So Sione Katoa, he injured himself round 1 of the preseason challenge. So that was early February. So 5 months: February, March, April, May, June, July, August-ish, July. So he can't be too far off. He'd be starting to think about what he can do.
He'd be running. His cardio fitness would be, they'll be, really making him work at a high intensity that way, and he'll be building his strength. And he won't come into full contact until 2 or 3 weeks before he's ready to come back to play. So I'll say that's the last thing. Yeah.
Well, bring him back at the end of the season. That's what we should have done with Peachy. We always bloody paid Peachy too much. Should have played him at the end of the season in the key matches. And the number of times Peachy was injured when we needed him to be, bloody frustrating as hell. Now, there's much heralding around Blake Brailey and his ability to just play consecutive matches. Is there something special about his body preparation, something he's doing, or is he just lucky, Francis, or is it a combination of both?
Well, I think that he can be a little bit lucky, but I think he must manage himself very well post-game, and he must be extremely fit and extremely strong. And the other thing that he appears to have is sometimes I'll be watching a match and I'll go, who was that? He's made a fantastic tackle. His technique in tackling is very good. And as you know, if you get too high, you're penalised. If you get too low, you can get knocked out. So I think his technique's excellent, and his fitness and strength, must be excellent as well. Always a little. You can be unlucky. The injury gods can get you. No fault of your own, as we've discussed with a couple of injuries today. But some of that luck comes from good strength, good technique, and he's very impressive.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. I haven't put the mock on him, Francis.
Yes, exactly. We don't put the mock on him.
Yeah, he gets done next week, or he gets picked for State of Origin and doesn't get to play for us. All right. Well, look, the Sharkies are taking on the Melbourne Storm on Saturday night. We previewed that match pretty heavily on the Tuesday night show. We've also got the guy from Stormcast podcast coming on for an opposition fan preview tomorrow, Francis. Give us your quick view. Can the Sharkies beat the Storm, mate?
Look, I think we're a smoky to get over the Storm. They beat a team by 60, and I think they're going to come up and give it to us Sharkies, and I think we'll be quietly confident to win. We've won against them a few times, and I think we're a good chance. I think, I'll be picking them. Yeah, I'll be picking them by
fair enough.
Maybe 10.
Maybe 10. Is Nico back in form?
I think he's in form, and I think he's. I
think he is too.
I think we're only going to get better. We might have an average game here and there, but I think they're finally starting to click and get a bit better and get used to each other. And nothing wrong with having a few wins and getting your confidence up either. So I'm feeling confident.
All right, Sharkies to win. Will Kennedy, man of the match. Will Kennedy, Daily M winner at the end of the year too, Francis.
He's playing fantastic.
Not bad.
Yeah.
He's playing pretty well.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. All right, Francis. Well, thanks for coming in for this special injury episode. It's always a bit of a bummer getting you in, but injuries are just a fact of rugby league life that we're in. If you want to get physio treatment from Francis or anyone down there at Southside Physiotherapy, down there on Barony Bay Road, I can never remember the damn number, but right there 82. On the corner of 82, the corner of Barony Bay Road and Woolooware Road, and not quite the corner, but right near the the Caltex service station? Is it Caltex?
Yeah, Ampol now. They've changed to Ampol.
Oh, they've changed to Ampol. We're just giving them a free ad, the Ampol guys. Free ad for them, the Ampol guys with the bus stop. So, yeah, get in. The website link is in the link in the bio, so you can just go click on that. And, if you tell them that I sent you, then they'll charge you more, so don't do that.
Good on you. Thanks,
Perfect.
David.
All right, Francis, we might see you at the game or soon, and we'll get you on another Tuesday.
Definitely be there. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, mate. Thanks for coming in, and up Cronulla.
Up. Bye.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.